Peace, 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 peace. Welcome back to the Mixed Metals podcast. Basically took the summer off. Uh, Not a whole lot going on as far as sports. A lot of different things though, entertainment wise, that we're gonna get to. I'm gonna stop saying that I'm back and I'm gonna do this consistently and all of that. I'm gonna just try to do it. Um, because I just hate not being a man of my word as far as that is concerned. So I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try my best. Things are going well comedy wise. Things are going well work wise. Things are going well family wise. Some things not so well. Uh, but I will definitely keep that. I try my best to keep that part private. Um, Other than that, I got a lot I want to talk about. I will start with the week one of the college football season loss to Florida State by the Alabama Crimson Tide. Um, I don't think that I saw in that game the better team win. Um the I think I saw one team give up and one team go full force ahead and go ahead and do what they had to do. I saw a lack of effort that I had never seen in my lifetime from Alabama. I hope to never see that again. Um, I saw a Florida State team that felt like they had a point to prove, and I believe they did prove it. I think that everybody is saying that it's over for Alabama and those kind of things, and I strongly disagree. I think Kalen DeBoer is a good coach. I think that they have uh, an embarrassment of riches as far as talent on this team this year, and I think that the future looks bright recruit wise. NIL has leveled the playing field, so to speak, and I think that with a level playing field, it's just gonna take uh time to get back to to where to the dominant. I don't think any one team will dominate anymore as much as Alabama used to, and I think that part of that is just the expansion of the playoff and possible further expansion of the playoff. Um, so I think that we are on the cusp of greatness once again. I do think I saw some great things week two and Ty Simpson. I saw some great things with Austin Mack. I saw some great things with Keelan Russell. So I think quarterback wise, I think that um, we shouldn't really have much to worry about, if anything. Um, just effort. I think that effort was severely lacking, and I hope to never see that again. Um, and uh, week two, completely different team. I understand that Louisiana Monroe was the opponent, but things can happen. Anything can happen. I look at Troy giving Clemson all they could handle. After a week one loss in Clemson for Clemson, um, I saw South Florida beat Florida in Gainesville. I saw just I saw Austin Peay give Georgia everything they could handle as far as I mean, of course, it was a 28-6 win, but that's what you would see, a good SEC matchup maybe, or like an imbalanced SEC matchup maybe. I don't think that anybody was expecting for Georgia to only score 28 points on the Austin Peay team, and a win is a win. Don't get me wrong. Um, but I saw a lot of teams struggle, and where I feel like it would have been easy to just give up on the season. I saw a spirited team defend Nick Saban Field. I saw a spirited team going after it, and staying in pursuit instead of taking the foot off the gas. Um, and I just pray, or I hope that they can continue with that momentum. I hope that they can, you know, I'm hoping for no more than two losses this season from Alabama. And I believe that it is possible. Like I said, this team is extremely talented. This team has all the pieces there to be able to succeed. And it's just a matter of execution. Uh, Other than that, no shocking, nothing shocking. Everything else was pretty much chalk except LSU did beat Clemson week one. Uh, it was a good Miami Notre Dame game. Week two, a lot of cupcakes, so I nothing to really judge. Well, Oklahoma Michigan was the best game this past week, and Oklahoma did pull away with that win. I guess the Texas Ohio State game lived up to the hype as far as like an old school defensive battle. Final score 14-7. It was 14-0 in the fourth quarter. They finally Texas was able to finally score. Um, Not a lot of people are going to be able to beat that Ohio State defense. To know me is to know that I am a fan of five teams. And call it what you want. I don't care. Alabama, Ohio State, Oklahoma, Texas, and Georgia Tech. Uh, I I believe Georgia Tech can win this game against Clemson this weekend. That's a pretty big game. Uh, but yeah, as far as Ohio State goes, I don't see a lot of points being scored on that defense if they can keep it. You know, if they can stay locked in, the way that they did. Um, I think I mean, I think that college is just wide open. Penn State being the number two team, I think that says a lot because I don't know if a lot of people have Penn State winning the national championship. So, you know, that just goes to show. I mean, the top two teams are Big Ten teams. We have had Big Ten national champ the past two seasons. Uh, and I'm sure that a lot of people, you know, feel that the SEC's dominance is over and those kind of things. And it may be, but I don't see uh dominant Big Ten incoming, especially with the 12 team playoff. The thing about the SEC's dominance ending is the fact that they were dominant in the BCS and the 14 playoff era. But now we have 12 teams that where and a Boise State can make the playoff. Um, So I just think that it'll be a lot different just moving forward. I don't think that we'll see back to back champions anytime soon. Um, so you know, it's just it's kind of any given Saturday, uh, in that regard, and I think that would keep the game exciting. NIL has its pros and cons. There's something else about the NCAA in general is just kind of hit or miss, take it or leave it type deal. Um, so I think once they get the NIL and the transfer portal kind of like settled in, I think that we'll be back to. I would say college football is probably my favorite sport to watch between that and the NBA. Um, but yeah, I was maybe those two are tied. Um, But I think that's all I have right now on college football. We'll have some more exciting games. Georgia does play Tennessee this weekend. Uh, let's see who else. What other matchups? That'll probably be college game day. I'm not sure. Belichick is having a rough go at it so far. I think he kind of bit off more than he could chew. Um, we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. So yeah, I mean, Indiana plays Indiana State. Like I said, Clemson with Georgia Tech. That's going to be interesting. Um, Oklahoma plays Temple, Wisconsin at Alabama, uh, Georgia at Tennessee. And again, I'm thinking that that's going to be the college game day, but maybe not. Um, South Florida at Miami should be interesting. South Florida, I always had a talented team under this coach. I can't remember his name. Forgive me for that. But I think that um, they've only ascended. The past two seasons, again, South Florida gave Nick Saban coached Alabama team and the Kalen DeBoer coached Alabama team all that they could handle. Um, or maybe it was the year before last and maybe it was just Nick Saban's last two seasons is what I'm trying to say. Um, where South Florida you know gave Alabama all they could handle. Actually, I do want to look into that. Let's see if I can. Um, so the 2024 season. Okay, so yes. So last season, well, wasn't really all they can handle. It was close early. I do remember that game being pretty close early. Like it was Alabama ended up scoring 28 in the fourth, and that's what opened it up. But at one point the score was 14 to 13 Alabama. Um so I mean, that they were able to give Alabama all they could handle at one point, but obviously, Alabama finally got it going and took off. But Byron Brown, a lot of people like him. Uh just going back in that game, September 7th, 2024, Byron Brown he went 15 of 35 for 103 yards, which isn't that great, but 23 carries for 108 yards. So him being the do it all guy, I mean that they've that just shows the amount of talent that they have out there. And then this past Saturday, they were able to beat Florida 18-16, like I said, in Gainesville. Or yeah, Florida is in Gainesville, I'm pretty sure. Um, so yeah, and now they're number 18. So that'll be an interesting game. I said all that to say that that would be an interesting game, and that is a game that I will, besides the Alabama game and my other teams, Georgia Tech and Clemson. That's the game I'll be paying the most attention to, because I expect Oklahoma to handle Temple. I expect Texas to handle UTEP. Um, and I think Ohio State has Ohio. Yeah, I expect Ohio State to handle Ohio. Um, Florida does play LSU. That's always an interesting game. Got to be careful with those rivalries, especially in the SEC. Um, Anything goes in the SEC. Arkansas plays Ole Miss. Vanderbilt at South Carolina. That'll be interesting. Okay, we got some good games. I take back what I said earlier. Got Texas A&M versus Notre Dame. Um, I think for the second time in as many seasons, everybody's doing the home and home now that we're about to get 9 games in the SEC, and then the conference realignments. So got a lot of people doing the home and homes. Florida State will be at Alabama next season. Uh, so yeah, some interesting stuff coming up this weekend. Moving on, um, the NFL. So I have a thing that I want to do, um, and I will see if I can write it down. And I will write it down. It can be documented. I do apologize for this scramble that we got going. Okay. All right. So I um this is gonna be later on, but I do want to do a little exercise where I'm gonna do like some after week one projections. Dropping everything I do apologize. Some after week one projections. And I will only be able to um change my projections one other time this season. And it's kind of up to me, but I will probably prefer like halfway through the season. Um, but let's go over some scores and some a little overview of the interesting games, I guess. Cowboys and Eagles started the season. Spitgate. Jalen Carter spit on Dak Prescott before the first snap. That was I can't believe he did that. And I think that it's one thing to do it to do something like well first off that's disgusting that is you there have no place in any environment that nobody should be spit on. I think that that's one of the lowest things that you could do to another human being. um but I think it's a whole nother thing that this is the only NFL game on TV at this moment on Thursday night. This is the season opener, and you do this to a guy, and this was a point made by I think Nick Wright, a Walter Payton Man of the Year. Only a few, you only see that little man with the cape on a few jerseys in the NFL, and that's to represent Walter Payton Man of the Year award winner, and for you to do that to him on a national stage where you are again the only game on TV. I think that shows a like I won't call it a weakness because I don't know him personally, but I think that shows a vulnerability that um could have been kept to himself. I think that is something that like so now I think moving forward everybody knows that like you can it doesn't necessarily have to be spit and hopefully it's not. Hopefully we never see that again, but uh you all you have to do is kind of egg them on um easily bothered because I don't think that there could have been that much trash talk or anything like that before the very first snap of the game. One of your players is hurt, so that's concerning. You got other things to be worried about, and Jalen Carter shouldn't have been in that like near that huddle. Like you can see if there are certain angles where it shows like Dallas being in their huddle, and it shows Jalen Carter being like 5 feet away from them, and another 5 feet away from him is his huddle. So, or the huddle that he should have been in. So, I just think that shows like that was a I don't again I don't know him, so I can't call his character into question, but I do think that was a low character moment. Um, and again, it has no place in any environment. I think that's just that's such like that's scummy behavior. I can't imagine spitting on somebody. That's just so man, that's low. Um, but anyway, the Eagles did pull that game out. Cowboys surprised a lot of people, including me. I wasn't I was expecting for the Eagles to run them over, but again, division opponents, a team you see twice a year. Uh, you get so used to seeing them and those kind of things. So anything can kind of go in divisional games, um, which we will get to next. But Dak Prescott, 21 of 34 for 188 yards, which sounds pedestrian, but again, they were able to score 20 points. Um, Jalen Hurts, 14 carries, 62 yards for 2 touchdowns. He came up big in that game. He came up when they needed him. I do think that he uh, is, of course, it's early. It's only been one game, but I think that we can see a different level of Jalen Hurts. You know, not a Super Bowl champion, Super Bowl MVP. I think that we can see um, that okay, maybe he won't have to be the greatest passer in the world, or maybe he won't have to be the greatest runner in the world. But I think that we will see a level of Jalen Hurts winning that we hadn't seen. Well, I mean, he wins a lot, so that I can't say that, but I think that we will see winner Jalen Hurts play more often than than just pedestrian Jalen Hurts or just average quarterback Jalen Hurts. Um, Moving on to Friday, September 5th, the Chargers did beat the Chiefs in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Um, Chiefs lost Xavier Worthy rather early, I think 3 plays into the game. Um, and I mean, to me, initially it looked like maybe his shoulder had been popped out of place. And then it looked like the nurse, the team nurse or the doctor or whatever, it looked like he popped it back into place. But those, I mean, that's a hard injury to take care of. So I don't know his level of pain tolerance, and it did look painful. Like the seeing him and Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce is a big fella. So for them to collide like that, kind of unknowingly for Xavier, um, that's tough, and you hate to see somebody get taken out friendly fire, via friendly fire, I should say. Uh, Pat Mahomes, 24 of 39, 258 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 sacks for a loss of 9 yards. His QBR was 81.8. Overall rating was 89.5. Not necessarily sure how that works. But I'm trying to learn like a lot more about football, like the intricate details about football. I know a lot about football, but I just want to know like the nitty gritty where I can be able to just talk about like every detail of the game. Um, Pat Mahomes was also the leading rusher, which isn't a great sign. And again, I know it's the first game of the season. Chewy. I know it's the first game of the season, but Isaiah Pacheco, you would expect for him to have it together, and Kareem Hunt is a veteran by now, but so is Isaiah Pacheco. But you would just expect for them to be. I mean, Mahomes had more rushing yards than both of them combined, and each of them had 5 carries each. So that's not a great sign, but I'm sure that Andy Reid is being the wizard that he is offensively. I'm sure that they'll get that situated. Hollywood Brown, 10 receptions for 99 yards, with a long 49 yards. Smith Schuster, 55 yards receiving. Um, I mean, the Chiefs are the Chiefs. They kind of make it work with anybody. I'll be right back. We are back. I know I was talking about Justin Herbert, I think. But Justin Herbert surprised me the most. Um, Everybody loves to talk about the arm talent and the potential, and the measurables and the intangibles and those kind of things. But I just hadn't necessarily seen it. Now he has thrown for like he has a couple records under his belt at up to this point in his career. But an outstanding game. 25 of 34, 318 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Uh he was sacked 3 times, but overall rating of 131.7, QBR of 88.9. Um Rushed when they needed it. I mean, he was he was outstanding. A lot of people were saying that that's the best game of his career. I can see that. And if that's your starting point, the sky's the limit for what the Chargers can do this season and moving forward. Um, it's amazing what a change of coach can do for a team. Um, but moving on, other scores, Buccaneers beat the Falcons. I do have a year-long bet with a buddy of mine as far as the Falcons doing better than my 49ers. We'll get to my 49ers in a minute, but you know, we need better team doctors. I don't know what's going on. Uh, Injuries just seem to be too abundant at this point. And it's only like, I mean, it's getting worse and worse. I don't know what's going on. Like every season is something. Uh, but anyway, moving on. Michael Penix had a great game. 27 of 42, 298 yards, one touchdown. Um, he impacted the game with his legs as well. Six rushes for 21 yards, but a rushing touchdown. The only rushing touchdown. Uh, Overall rating of 93.2, QBR of 83.7. I think Michael Penix did great. Kyle Pitts, who all of a sudden wants to play football, when he's not on my fantasy team, 7 receptions for 59 yards, uh, on 8 targets. That's pretty good. Bijan, 6 receptions for 100 yards. I mean, when you can have a every down back, a back that can impact the game from receiving and rushing, you got a good thing. Uh, Baker was able to make a game-winning drive. Um, he didn't have the greatest game at first, uh, but he came through when it mattered. Um, 17 for 32 for 167 yards, but 3 touchdowns. Um, 5 rushes for 39 yards. Uh, and so I do see the Buccaneers. I see that kind of being the number one and number. I'll get to that later. I'll get to that later. I don't want to spoil what I have later. The Bengals beat the Browns in a very underwhelming game from both teams. 17-16. If I didn't say the score before, Joe Flacco 31 to 45, 290 yards. I mean, for them, for their offense to not have been the issue for them, past couple seasons, I I mean it was pitiful. This was a hard game to watch, to even watch the highlights of. Um, Jamar Chase, 2 receptions, 26 yards. T. Higgins, 3 receptions for 33 yards. Um, Overall, Joe Burrow, 14 of 23 for 113 yards. Sacked 3 times for 18 yards. QBR of 51.4. That is absolutely awful. Um, is the lust is kind of wearing off for me, as far as I'm concerned, for Joe Burrow. I'm biased anyway because I haven't liked Joe Burrow even when he was in college because I'm not an LSU fan. Um, and so I'm not a fan. I hold on to that. Um, I wanted him to lose in that Super Bowl. Uh, I don't. I mean, I don't wish like any ill will on him. It's just sports at the end of the day. But I don't root for his success, win loss wise. And I don't see it happening for the Bengals this season. If they're gonna play like that. Now they did go. They are 1-0 for the first time in I don't know how many years. Um, so I mean that's something. That's something. I don't know if it's anything to hang your hat on, but that's something. A very uninspiring victory there. Now that's another divisional game, and that was on the road. So those things do come into play. But I mean, you could have combined their score if the Bengals had 33 points. That would have been a lot more impressive. But I just I can't believe they uh you know they very uninspiring win. Dolphins look terrible against the Colts. Daniel Jones was delivering. Let's go over his stats. I don't plan on going over the stats of everybody for this game. Um, but I will say that seeing Zach Wilson play this early in the season is not a good sign. Um, you would hope that it would be them being up by so many points that they put Zach Wilson in to save Tua, but that it was actually the opposite. Well, not the opposite, but the game was so far out of hand that they put Zach Wilson in. Daniel Jones again, 22 of 29, pretty good. 272 yards, one touchdown. I'm sure he rushed for seven carries for 26 yards with two rushing touchdowns. Um, he was pretty incredible. People are trying to get back to calling him Danny Dimes. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. His name is Daniel Jones until further notice. Um, Tyreek Hill was the leading receiver for Miami, 4 for 40 yards. I mean, yeah, the Dolphins just look absolutely awful. Maybe one of the worst, if not the worst, teams in the AFC this year. We'll see. Uh, Raiders beat the Patriots 20-13. Drake May didn't he looked out of sorts. Cardinals beat the Saints. I think the Saints are gonna be awful this year. Steelers did beat the Jets. My man Aaron Rodgers with a vintage performance. Um, 22 of 30, 244 yards, four touchdowns. Um, as of week one, Aaron Rodgers leads the league in touchdowns. Um, Commanders beat the Giants 21-6. I think Russell Wilson. I think he lost it completely. I think that uh, it is all gone from Russell Wilson at this point. It wasn't like it was kind of gradual. You saw glimpses of his fall from greatness, I guess. You saw it happening in bits, but I think that all in one game, in game one, I think that it all went away from old Russell Wilson. I think he looked bad. I just want to. I'm not even gonna say Jaden Daniels stats, but Russell Wilson was 17 of 37 for 168 yards. Was sacked two times for 11 yards. A 25.5 QBR, which I think is the lowest. Well, I know that it's the lowest that I've said so far. Possibly the lowest of the weekend, unless Bryce Young might give him a run for his money. Um, Speaking of, the Jaguars beat the Panthers 26-10. I still don't believe in the Jaguars. I think Trevor Lawrence is a little overrated, and that's also okay. So Bryce Young had a QBR of 20, 18 of 35, 154 yards, one touchdown, two picks, one sack for 12 yards. He was just running the wrong way. Um, he did have five rushes for 40 yards, which is pretty good. He was the second leading rusher in that game, but I don't believe in the Jaguars. I kind of won't believe in them until, and and I think like this has kind of been perpetual. I don't. Of course, they had that one good season not too long ago with Blake Bortles when they went to the AFC Championship. Other than that, the Jaguars haven't been. I mean, they've kind of been basement dwellers for since they've been in the league. Let me see when did uh okay, so yeah, Jaguars were established November of 1993. So since I've been alive, um I don't I don't know if they have four divisional championships, um including 2017 to 2022, eight playoff appearances in 31 years. zero conference championships, zero league championships, obviously. Um, yeah, so Jaguars haven't really been um anything to talk about since they've existed. And I think that continues. I don't know if they're just a snake bitten franchise or what, but it's just I don't see it happening for the Jaguars for a very, very long time. Um, I don't think they'll move off of Trevor Lawrence, but I think they'll just be like the best they'll be with Trevor Lawrence is okay. Um, and we'll see after that. Broncos did beat the Titans. Uh, Not the greatest game to watch. 20-12. Cam Ward 12 of 28, 112 yards. Um, Sacked six times for 50 yards. And we have a new low for QBR of 7.3. I've never seen a single digit QBR that I've like paid attention to that I don't. And Bo Nix wasn't that much greater. It was 19.2. They had a combined QBR of 26.5. Um, yeah, that's a rough game. That's a rough game. I don't even want to talk about it. Uh, Moving on to my 49ers. Brock did it there. He had a rough early on. He did throw two picks, both of which were like just very, very questionable throws. But I mean, he came through when it mattered. He delivered the game-winning touchdown. And I mean, that's what we need. That's we being 49ers fans and all of that. Ricky Pearsall, I like what I saw from him. He is on one of my fantasy teams. Christian McCaffrey is on the other fantasy team. Um, I like what I saw from both of them. Well, Chris McCaffrey impacted the game more receiving than he did rushing. 22 rushes for 69 yards. With his long run being 13 yards. Overall, Brock his QBR was 80.3. His overall rating was 92.2. Sam Darnold 56 QBR, no touchdowns, no picks, was sacked once. Um, I like what I saw from my 49ers, but again, we uh need to investigate the team doctors in San Francisco because it's getting out of hand. Brock Purdy was apparently playing injured. We didn't find that out until like about a day later. Um, he will probably miss week 2 against the Saints. Um, George Kittle is out for at least 4 weeks. He's on IR with a hamstring injury. Uh, Juwan Jennings had a little scare. He is expected to play this week. That's why I mean we had to sign. Got Kendrick Bourne back. Got MVS on the team. Got um Scott Moore. I mean, just injuries, injuries, injuries. That's been the story of the past 2.5 seasons. That's kind of been the story since I would say since Jimmy G has been there. Since Shanahan got there, it's just been like we just been riddled with injuries, and you always see that when the team can stay healthy, they can make the Super Bowl. But it's tough to do that when they're like both sides of the ball are always impacted by injuries, and both sides of the ball are they are in elite positions. And like Christian McCaffrey only playing 4 games last season. We can't have that happen. I am glad that they did get Brian Robinson Jr. Um, as a safety net just in case. He's no Christian McCaffrey, but at least they have something back there, with Garindo, who is also injured. Um, yeah, I don't understand. Like this is probably the most injured team. It has probably been the most injured team the past 4 seasons, which is insane to think about. But anyway, I don't know if I see it for Sam Darnold. I don't and this could absolutely be just 49ers bias, but I just don't see it happening for the Seahawks, but we'll see what happens. The Packers, who I think will probably be the class of the NFC, let alone the NFC North, had an outstanding performance against the Lions, who looked like they regressed significantly. Um, Jared Goff was 31 of 39, 225 yards, one touchdown, but he was running for his life in some points. Um, their Sonic and Knuckles backfield gave you virtually nothing. Um, as a team, they had 22 carries for 46 yards. Uh, Jahmyr Gibbs, 9 for 19 yards, and David Montgomery, 11 for 25 yards. It's not going to get it done. You're not going to beat a lot of teams with that. Um, and, of course, the big story in the offseason for the Lions was the fact that they lost both of their coordinators, and, how would they look without them? I think as far as playing with an edge, playing with grit, playing with, anything besides the X's and O's, I think they'll always have that under Dan Campbell. But, you know, at the end of the day, you do need the X's and O's. That's kind of what puts points on the board. Um, the Rams beat the Texans. Uh, let's see. Matthew Stafford, 21 of 29, 245 yards, one touchdown, three sacks for 21 yards. If they can continue to get him on the ground, I don't know if he lasts throughout the whole season. He they say you come in limping, you go out limping into an NFL season. And he had the back issues that kept him out of a lot of camp. And he, I mean, he is 37, and he's always had injury issues. So interested to see if they can keep him upright. And I think that they do challenge San Francisco for the NFC West, but hopefully that's not the case. Not against Matthew Stafford. Maybe he does stay healthy, but hopefully they don't win our division. Offense for the Texans again look uninspiring. 27 rushes for 114 yards across six different people. CJ Stroud, 19 of 27, 188 yards, was sacked three times for 37 yards, QBR 43.2. Um, Again, you're not going to beat a lot of teams with that kind of stat line. We'll see. I do believe in the Texans a little bit. I'll get to that in a minute. Um, the obvious game of the year so far, I think this will be a game of the year contender for the whole season. Ravens against the Bills in Buffalo. The last season opener at that stadium. Um, the Bills were able to score 22 points in the fourth quarter to come back from being down 15 against the Ravens with, I think it was 3:36 left. I was watching that game. That was like one of the most insane games I've seen. Um, I you know Derrick Henry had a fumble, which I don't expect that to happen very often. DeAndre Hopkins was able to impact the game, two catches for 35 yards, but he did get a touchdown. Zay Flowers had a touchdown. Derrick Henry had 18 rushes for 169 yards. Um, I mean, unbelievable 1-2 punch from him and Lamar Jackson, who are on the same fantasy team of mine where I have Christian McCaffrey. Keon Coleman, who I also have on the fantasy team, 8 receptions for 112 yards. I thought he looked good. Hopefully he is able to take that next step. I like him just his personality, his uh personality with the media and those kind of things. I like him, so that made me become a fan of his. Um, so I am rooting for him. Josh Allen, I mean, was out of his mind. 33 of 46. 46 is a lot of passes, but 394 yards, 78.7 overall QBR, but two touchdowns, no picks. That's the most important stat for Josh Allen. As long as he can keep the ball out of harm's way, I think that he is among the tougher opponents in the NFL. Um, and then we got to another semi-classic. JJ McCarthy and the Vikings did beat the Bears. They scored 21 points. All three touchdowns I think were scored by JJ McCarthy. He passed for two and ran one. Or yes, I believe he passed for two touchdowns, ran one in the fourth quarter. And of course, there's one of those ESPN type stats where he's the first quarterback to do that in his debut. Um, at first, the Bears did look like they did in the preseason, where like I mean, they to me they look like the Globetrotters, like the way they was just able to get the ball to everybody on time. But then in the second half they kind of fell apart, and I wonder what Chicago Bears team will see, because that was definitely a tale of two halves for them. I think as long as you got that coach out there in Minnesota, I think they'll be fine. I think you kind of that's kind of system he's building out there, like a QB proof system. So I'm interested to see the what the Vikings are. I'm paying close attention to the NFC North. I'm very curious to see how that division shakes out. And that brings me to this activity that I was talking about earlier. All right, so I want to go through each division and do projections. Uh we'll do post week one projections, and then so having been able to see every team play, um I'm gonna give my prediction of where I think we'll end up. And then again, as I said earlier, I'm only able to change it one other time this season, and I prefer to change it halfway through the season. So we will start with the AFC North. Um, and I'm writing it down just, so it'll be documented. I have Baltimore finishing that division, finishing first in that division. I have Pittsburgh finishing second in that division. I have Cincinnati finishing third in that division. I don't know if I spelled that right. I have Cleveland, obviously, finishing fourth in that division. Um, and I was thinking that it was gonna sound like I was just going with every team that won this weekend, but already off top, I try to prevent that by by just thinking off the top like the divisions that I don't, where that is not the case, and then maybe later on it'll sound like I was. But I got Baltimore finishing first, Pittsburgh finishing second, Cincinnati finishing third, and Cleveland finishing fourth. Now, Baltimore and Cleveland were the two teams that lost this past weekend. Pittsburgh, again with Aaron Rodgers throwing for four touchdowns. They look good. They did look a little shaky on defense, but I think they'll get that handled. That's part of their tradition. That's part of their DNA. Um, Cincinnati, I don't know. I don't see it for Cincinnati. Um, let's move on to the AFC West. I'm gonna go AFC East. I have Buffalo finishing first in that division. I have New York finishing second in that division. And then I'm gonna go and mark my playoff teams when I'm done with this part. I have I think New England finishing third, and I have Miami finishing fourth, unfortunately. Um, next page. All right, I'll do the AFC South. I have Houston finishing first in that division. I have hmm, I have Indianapolis finishing second. I have Jacksonville finishing third, and the Titans finishing fourth. And the AFC West, probably the most competitive division this season. In the AFC. Um, I hate to sound like I'm prisoner of the moment, but I do have the Chargers. You know, having a full season for Jim Harbaugh. Um, I think that that's key, and I think that the Chargers will win that division. I have Kansas City finishing second. I have Denver finishing third, and I have Vegas finishing fourth in that division. Geno Smith is Geno Smith, but I think that they got a lot of problems on defense in Vegas. Um, Bo Nix didn't look like he was going to win a division this season in game one. And again, I know it's game one, but that's the point of this exercise. We're moving on to the NFC. I want to do first NFC East. Um, I have Philly finishing first. Now this I'm gonna put an asterisk because it depends on if Jackson Dart play. If Jackson Dart is put in before week 4 or by week 4, then I have New York. But I don't know if that happens. So I'll just go ahead and go with Washington. I have New York finishing third, and I do have Dallas finishing fourth, despite their very inspiring performance against Philly week one. Um, I don't know if I see Dallas repeating that performance over 16 games. I don't 16 more games. I don't know. Um NFC West, let's go. My 49ers division. Um we can get if we can get healthy and stay healthy, I got San Francisco winning the division. I have LA finishing second. I have Arizona finishing third, and I have Seattle finishing fourth. Good thing that we started off, with a win in the division. If we're gonna be injured, we do have the NFC South this season. So as two to at least at least two wins, um, possibly three. Four would be obviously ideal, but that would be like beyond my imagination. Uh, Speaking of, let's go NFC South. I have Tampa Bay uh winning that division. I have Atlanta finishing second. I have the Carolina Panthers finishing third, and I have the New Orleans Saints finishing fourth this season, next season, and the next season. I think New Orleans is going to be bad for a long time. Um, and where are we? East, West, South, NFC North. Again, probably my favorite division to watch this season. I have Green Bay, and I'll go ahead and put bullet for them. I have them possibly making the NFC Championship. Um, I have Minnesota finishing second. Hmm, I got Detroit finishing third, and I got Chicago finishing fourth. All right. So I don't know if I mean, well, I know my handwriting was bad this go around. I don't know if you can see it, but anyway, I'll just read them out. AFC North, I got Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, and Cleveland. I do have um Pittsburgh making the playoffs this season. AFC East, I mean, obviously, you know, I'm not gonna say the first place team that I have like making the playoff because that's obvious. Um, AFC East, I got Buffalo, New York, New England, Miami. I do not have New York making the playoffs. So far we got three teams: Baltimore, Pittsburgh, and Buffalo. Um, I have Houston in the AFC South. I got Houston, Indy, Jacksonville, Tennessee. Um, I don't have anybody else in that division making the playoffs. And the Chargers, Kansas City, and Denver making the playoffs. So that is Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Buffalo, Houston, LA, Kansas City, Denver. So all but one team in the AFC West. And I got two teams coming out of the AFC North. And in the NFC, I have Philly, Washington, New York, and Dallas. I think Washington will make the playoffs this season. Um, NFC West, I got San Francisco, LA, Arizona, Seattle. Uh, I got LA making the playoffs. I'm gonna come back to Arizona. We'll see. Um, in the South, got Tampa Bay, Atlanta, Carolina, New Orleans. I had real high hopes for Bryce Young in Carolina, but he made like that may be the worst highlight tape to watch from this past weekend. Um, I do have Atlanta making the playoffs. Uh, and that's it, obviously. NFC North. Um, I got Green Bay, Minnesota, Detroit, Chicago. I do have Minnesota making the playoffs. Um, and so it's one team left, one spot left. Or no, it's not. I got eight teams in there. Okay, so between Atlanta and Minnesota, I trust Atlanta more, so I would have to take out Minnesota. All right, so in the AFC, my playoff teams are Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Buffalo, Houston, LA, Kansas City, and Denver. And in the NFC, Philly, Washington, San Francisco, LA, Tampa Bay, Atlanta, and Green Bay. Um, so my bet with my buddy that I alluded to earlier was that the 49ers will have a better season than the Falcons this season. And I still think as long as we stay healthy, I'm sticking to it. I just think San Francisco is a better team. I think that Shanahan is a better coach. Um, and we'll let the chips fall where they may. Um, let's talk about some music since I've been away. Freddie Gibbs dropped Alfredo 2. It took me this long to realize that Alfredo was a play on Alchemist and Freddie Gibbs. Um, I didn't realize that until recently. But Alfredo 2 is just more of the same, which is not a bad thing at all. Another potential classic from Freddie Gibbs and Alchemist. Um, I mean, top to bottom, Freddie Gibbs hadn't put out a bad project in I don't know how long. Um, so there was that. I can't remember whether or not I talked about the Clips album, Let God Sort Them Out, the last time, but whether I did or didn't, I'm mentioning it again. Clips had the rap album of the year. Um, we have gone to the concert since my last episode. Um, one of the best concerts I've been to. And of course, there's some bias in that because I knew all but one song. Um, I've been listening to the Clips I mean, since Lord willing. So that was a full circle moment for me. I've seen Push. That was my third time seeing Push, but obviously my first time seeing Malice, so that was cool. Um, Jid put out an excellent album. He would be number two on my list as far as rap album of the year. I would put Gibbs third. Um, God does like ugly. I mean, incredible body of work. Jid don't miss, in my opinion. He is one of the aliens of uh Atlanta's hip hop scene, Atlanta's current hip hop scene. Um, I think he like Jid is very very different when it comes to lyricism and being able to put words together. Uh, so yeah, that's my top three for the year so far. My wife and I went to see Weapons. Um, and I was interested in Weapons because it was directed by the same guy that did The Barbarian. And I love The Barbarians, not just because I thought it was just an excellent movie, but because I thought that it was the twist, like that was one of the better twists that I can remember. And I like that Weapons kind of was open ended as far as like leaving it for your own interpretation. And I've I had my own idea of what I thought it meant, but then going on Reddit and seeing what other people thought, I thought that was interesting. I thought that like I love when it's okay that two completely different opinions can be right, if that makes sense. Um, one of the better movies that I've seen this year, seen Superman. Superman is probably my favorite movie to come out this year. Um, we saw Sinners. Sinners was excellent. Fantastic Four, I saw it twice. Um, Thunderbolts, I enjoyed. I enjoyed Thunderbolts more than I thought I would, actually. Um, we've seen a couple more. We saw The Accountant. I'm not really putting that in my top, but I enjoyed it. The next movie I want to see is him. The next Jordan Peele movie. I think that or it's produced by Jordan Peele, I guess. Uh, let's see. Yeah, well, it's produced by Jordan Peele's Monkey Paw Productions, so it's not. Um, Okay, so yeah, Jordan Peele is just a producer on it. He's not a director or a writer. Um, but I like what Monkey Paw has been doing. It's founded in 2012, which is unbelievable for me. I had no idea. Um, so let's see. So far, uh, dating back to 2016, Keanu was the first feature film for Monkey Paw Productions. I haven't seen it. Um, oh, that's a comedy. Okay, okay, I remember that. I'm not. I was never interested in Key and Peele, and is that's why it's so wild for me to like Jordan Peele as much as I do now because I could not stand Key and Peele. Um, Get Out was excellent to me. You got Black Klansman. That was a good movie. Us, I thought it was very different. I liked it. The most recent Candyman, um, rest in peace, Tony Todd. Um, that movie was good. Nope, I like how weird it was. And you just don't see uh a lot of black films with involving aliens and that kind of thing. So I thought that was cool. Um, and so yeah, him is next. There are a couple more that I hadn't seen. Two that I hadn't heard of: Honk for Jesus, Save Your Soul. I hadn't heard of that. Wendell and Wild. I hadn't heard of that. It looked like an animated movie. Um, Monkey Man. I have heard of. I would like to see that. But anyway, I said all that to say that I'm excited about him, the movie. Uh I do want to talk about a project that I have coming up. So when Colin Kaepernick kneeled during the national anthem, basically so did I. I felt like people were missing the point um of what he was trying to uh ironically what he was trying to stand for in kneeling. I felt like a lot of people missed the point. Um but I understood. I felt like I understood. And uh, it was to bring attention to the injustice of Black Americans as far as police brutality and that kind of thing. The disproportionate amount of brutality that existed. Um, and so I stopped watching the NFL for a couple seasons. And I stopped buying Madden. I wanted nothing to do with the NFL, and I mean this is coming from like I'm a huge fan of the NFL, but I felt like of course my one little voice wasn't gonna do much, but as long as I felt right in my soul that I was doing the right thing. Um, and then Colin settled a couple years later, and so I felt like that was a fair time to come back. But I still hadn't bought Madden. The last Madden I had um was Madden 17, I think, with Gronk on the cover. Uh, and I had gone all these years without buying it, but um, I came back. I'm still not all the way like I do still I'm buying Madden third party, if that makes sense. Like I'm not buying it directly from a retailer. I'm buying it off eBay and that kind of stuff. But I thought that it would be cool since I am back playing Madden. Again, it's coming from a huge fan of Madden. I had every Madden from '03 up to 17. And that's just, like that I can remember. I do My uncle did have Madden like 94, 95 back on Super Nintendo, and I did play those. But anyway, I went back and bought every Madden game. And the idea, I just wanted to do something fun, since I'm coming back to playing Madden. Um, I wanted to do so. My idea is to play a season in each game and determine which one is my favorite overall. just before I get started on it, I will say that my favorites that I can remember are Madden '06 on the DS, Madden '04 period on Game Boy Advance and console. Um so I guess Madden '04, '05, and '06 because '05 I did love that was I think that was the beginning of the hit stick era. Ray Lewis on the cover. I do think they put him on the cover to like, reinforce the fact that they was doing the hit stick. Um those are probably my three overall favorites. I have memories of Madden 64 and those kind of things, but so now I got them all back. Um I still have my original Madden '06, '04, and '05. Um, so that'll be fun to revisit those, see my saves. I know I did go back and look at my Madden '06 on DS. I played like up to like 2034 or something like that. Um, or 2032, some maybe. Uh, so that I mean that was pretty cool. And so my plan is to play like a couple of games like in each section, and I'm gonna put this on my main channel on my like my hard to find channel. Um, and I will list it. I will put the link in the description. Um, so I want to play like the games in kind of in chunks. So I'll play like John Madden football all the way to Madden 96. And then I'll discuss, each one and which one of those was my favorite. And I'll keep going that way. Hopefully I'm able to get some gameplay footage from all of them. That's the hope. I gotta figure out a way to get the record the old ones. Hopefully, I can emulate it on my computer and get recordings from there. But if not, then I'll figure it out. I probably have to record it off my phone for a while until I'm able to get to like the PS3s and PS4s. Um, so yeah, I'm excited about that. I have been playing Madden '06. I got it on the Switch too, which I think my last episode was before I got my Switch 2, so it's been months. So since I've got my Switch 2, I've played a bunch of Donkey Kong Bonanza. Uh, my game of the year so far. Uh, I've played Madden, Bravely Default. Uh, I do have Cyberpunk on there, and I just got Damon X Machina, Titan Scion. I haven't played it yet, but yeah, I've been enjoying my Switch 2. Madden, it is what it is on there. Like, I do see a lot of videos of people complaining about it and those kind of things, but you got to know what you signed up for. Um, I think that's all I had to talk about. I got to learn how to not end my episodes so abruptly, but I will see you guys next time. Glad to be back. Hopefully we'll be doing another episode either at the end of this week or beginning of next. If I do it at the beginning of next week, that'll be better for me to be able to talk about the games from this weekend and include Monday Night Football. So I'll probably end up doing that. Um, other than that, my anniversary is coming up. I'm excited about that. Uh, and yeah, I think that's about it. So until next time, love you all.